what I have here is a Neo Geo, I think this is an MV1 board. This is one of the earlier ones for sure. Just look at how massive this thing is. Anyway, I just got this recently, and I'm guessing that this video will just be kind of a pseudo tutorial about how one would make a supergun, and kind of the pain points that I had when I was trying to make all of this work. So yeah, if you don't know what a supergun is, I think most people do now. The thing is that there's not a lot of information online about this kind of thing. There's like bits and pieces here and there, and you gotta like piece everything together. But once you get all the pieces figured out, it's actually very, very simple. So first thing is you have the jammer harness, and you can see these like bundles of wires just going crazy all over the place. You have your edge connector, just goes onto the edge, which says JAMA upside down. So yeah, JAMA harness, which I did not wire any of this myself. I just bought the JAMA harness kind of all pre-assembled for me. And that was pretty cheap. It was only like a few dollars. So next is the power supply. So this is a proper arcade power supply, and I say proper depending on who you ask, is that it has exactly what you need. So plus 12 volts, minus 5 volts, ground, and plus 5 volts, and then the AC in. And at first I used an ATX power supply, which is this mess here, and you gotta get an older power supply that has the minus 5 volts there. And when I hooked everything up, so obviously I had to do a little bit of splicing to get everything done, and it's not pretty, but it did work. But I do prefer the Zen-like feel of the arcade power supply. There aren't as many wires because it only provides exactly what you need. Next is the video encoder board. So this is a CGA to VGA scaler. There are a few other encoder boards out there, but they're all pretty expensive, and this obviously depends on having a VGA output, which is fine for my TV, so whatever suits your needs. So there's the red, green, blue ground and sync there. I actually tried wiring up a SCART connector to the RGB sync and RGB ground and sync, and it didn't work, and I couldn't figure out why. Maybe bad wiring, I don't know. But yeah, I just this was pretty much plug and play. I just like popped it in right there, and popped in the 5 volts over there and my VGA out, and it started working. So that was really easy. As far as troubles I had with this, oh yeah, so the last thing is that this massive bundle of wires here is normally for your hooking up your controls to your control panel, which I do have sitting on the side over here. There's all the crazy number of wires. I just haven't gotten around to it, and I gotta replace some of the parts on this board, like this joystick, which is really hard to push. So since this is a version 1 board, I just have my Neo Geo AES controller, and I plug it right in, and so that was really convenient. The other few things, so the other two things about Neo Geo boards in particular is that everybody says to replace this. This is a battery, which they say has a tendency to leak after it gets old, but I got this and the battery wasn't leaking, so it's still there. The original BIOS is still there. I've seen some people like pop this out and put in a new BIOS, but whatever. And I already have a cartridge in there, but I don't want to take it out. But the only trouble I kind of had with this was that I got the board and it was advertised as perfect working order, and I plugged everything in and it was not perfect working order. It powered on and everything, but there are a lot of like graphical glitches. So I just did not know what to do at that point. So I just kind of cleaned the board, and that was pretty much it. There were a few really rough spots on the bottom. There was like some residue and corrosion. You can still see it's a little bit dusty. But the main thing was that on this edge connector, you could see that somebody apparently had repaired. This looks like custom work. Looks like this trace has been repaired before. And it was really corroded and ugly. And I just kind of cleaned it up, even though it still looks kind of dirty now, but whatever. And the last thing was the edge connector itself. I took a screwdriver and I started scraping away at the top edge to expose some new metal. And normally the thing you should do is get some steel wool or some sandpaper, but I didn't have any of that, so I just used a screwdriver. And I went over the bottom edge and the top edge just to, you know, kind of clean the connector a little bit. And so, yeah. And everything started working, so that was really nice. And I have it mounted on this piece of wood here. So, yeah, let me just turn this on. Just to... And the last thing was that I don't have the stereo connections hooked up. I actually use the speaker output. You could use either one of these, but I use this one. And I kind of made a makeshift standard 3.5mm stereo out there. So, yeah, but the main reason that I wanted to get this all working, which I'll show you in like a minute. Oops. Put the stereo sound in. Oops. So, the main reason is that I wanted to play this game, Neo Drift Out. Yes. So, let me just turn this on. There's the light. There's the sound. Oh, it's beautiful. So the other thing is that I have my credit switched, just kind of hooked to this button over here. And I'll play a little bit of this, but not too much. Oops. AAA is my name. Let's go for a Celica. Finished indeed. I won't play too much of this, but yeah, everything's working. Yeah, anyway, that's it for me. So hopefully this was useful, or maybe not. Anyway, thanks for watching.